Let me ask you something. Have you ever met someone who always has an excuse? Someone who blames the world, the economy, their boss, their past, but never takes action? Losers don't lose because they're not capable. They lose because of the words they tell themselves. Words shape beliefs, and beliefs shape reality. If you keep saying the wrong things, you'll keep getting the wrong results. But today, we're going to break that cycle. We're going to expose the 10 things losers say, and more importantly, I'm going to show you how to replace them with the mindset of a winner. Words shape reality. What you say daily isn't just communication, it's programming. Every phrase you speak becomes a script for your subconscious mind, dictating your actions, reactions, and ultimately your results. The difference between someone who wins and someone who loses often comes down to the words they consistently use. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who constantly talks about how unlucky they are, how hard life is, how they never get a break? And what do you notice? Their life is a reflection of those beliefs. They struggle, they seem stuck, not because they're incapable, but because they have convinced themselves that success is out of reach. Their words create the limits they live by. On the other hand, look at high achievers. They speak a different language. They don't dwell on problems, they talk about solutions. They don't complain about obstacles, they see them as opportunities to grow. They don't make excuses, they take responsibility. The way they speak conditions them to take action, push forward, and create the success they want. It all starts in the mind. But here's the thing, your mind listens to what you tell it. If you constantly say, I can't, your brain will find evidence to prove it right. If you say it's impossible, your mind stops looking for a way. If you say, I don't have what it takes, you won't even try. That's how the brain works. It follows the commands you give it. But the same is true in reverse. If you tell yourself, I will figure this out, your brain starts searching for solutions. If you say, there's always a way, you stay resourceful. If you say, I am in control of my future, you step into a position of power rather than victimhood. That's why the language of losers is dangerous. It keeps people trapped in a cycle of mediocrity. The moment you start paying attention to the words you use, you begin to notice the patterns that have been shaping your reality. Words aren't just expressions, they are blueprints. And if you want to change your life, you must start by changing the way you speak. Take a moment and reflect. What are the common phrases you use when faced with a challenge? Do you say things like, this is too hard, I'm not smart enough, or I'll never get ahead? If so, those words are reinforcing a limiting mindset, keeping you stuck in the same place. The good news? You have the power to rewrite your narrative at any moment. Success is not reserved for a lucky few. It's a result of patterns of thought, patterns of speech, and patterns of action. The people who win in life are not necessarily the smartest or the most talented. They are the ones who consistently use empowering language that drives them forward. They take full responsibility for their words, knowing that words shape beliefs and beliefs shape destiny. The moment you catch yourself speaking like a loser, pause. Replace that phrase with something more powerful. Instead of saying, I can't, say, how can I? Instead of saying, this is too hard, say, I will find a way. Instead of saying, I don't know how, say, I'm learning. These small shifts might seem simple, but they create massive change over time. Your words are the foundation of your mindset. And your mindset determines the quality of your life. The choice is yours. Speak like a loser and stay stuck, or speak like a winner and start moving forward. The transformation begins with you. Excuses are the enemy of success. The difference between those who achieve their goals and those who don't is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It's the ability to execute instead of making excuses. Every time you give yourself a reason why something isn't possible, you reinforce a pattern that keeps you stuck. On the other hand, every time you take action, despite the obstacles, you build momentum and confidence. People who consistently lose in life are experts at justifying why they are not where they want to be. They blame external circumstances, their past, their upbringing, or even other people. They say things like, I don't have enough time, I wasn't given the right opportunities, or I'll start when things settle down. But the truth is, life will never hand you the perfect conditions. There will always be challenges, distractions, and reasons to wait. Winners know this, and instead of making excuses, they take action with whatever resources they have. Think about the most successful people in the world. Did they have perfect conditions? No. Many of them started with nothing. Some of them faced immense adversity, but instead of using those obstacles as an excuse to give up, they used them as fuel to push forward. They refused to let circumstances dictate their destiny. They didn't wait for the right time. They created the right time by taking action. Excuses are seductive because they let us off the hook. When we blame something outside of ourselves, we don't have to take responsibility. It's easier to say, I can't start my business because I don't have enough money, than it is to find creative ways to generate income. It's easier to say, I don't have time to work on my goals than it is to wake up an hour earlier. But here's the truth. Every time you make an excuse, you rob yourself of an opportunity to grow. Execution, on the other hand, is the ultimate game changer. When you take action, even in small ways, you build momentum. You prove to yourself that you are capable, that you can figure things out, and that you are in control of your destiny. Action is what separates winners from losers. It doesn't matter if you don't have all the answers. It doesn't matter if you're not ready. What matters is that you start. The perfect moment will never come, but progress happens when you take that first step. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is that they need to feel motivated before they can act. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. If you wait until you feel like it, you'll never move forward. The key is to act despite how you feel. When you do that, something powerful happens. Action creates motivation. The more you do, the more motivated you become. Winners don't rely on emotions to determine their actions. They rely on discipline and commitment. It's important to recognize when you are slipping into an excuse-making mindset. Are you telling yourself that you don't have time, money, or experience? Are you waiting for things to be easier? Are you blaming other people for your lack of progress? If so, it's time to shift your thinking. Instead of focusing on what's holding you back, focus on what's within your control. Instead of saying, I can't, start asking, how can I? This small change in language rewires your brain to look for solutions rather than dwell on problems. Success is not reserved for a select few. It's available to anyone willing to execute, adapt, and push forward despite challenges. The choice is yours. You can be the person who finds excuses, or you can be the person who finds solutions. You can be the person who waits for the right conditions, or you can be the person who creates them. The people who win in life are not the ones who have the easiest path. They are the ones who take action no matter what. Excuses or execution, only one leads to success. Which will you choose? The victim mentality is one of the most toxic mindsets a person can adopt. It is a silent killer of dreams, progress, and success. People who embrace this mindset see themselves as powerless, believing that external forces control their lives. They blame circumstances, other people, or even bad luck for their lack of progress. But the truth is, as long as you see yourself as a victim, you will never take the necessary steps to change your situation. Every person faces challenges, setbacks, and unfair situations. Life is not always kind, and things don't always go as planned, but the difference between winners and losers is how they respond. Winners acknowledge their struggles but refuse to let them define their future. They understand that while they may not be responsible for everything that happens to them, they are 100% responsible for how they react and what they do next. A victim mentality is easy to fall into because it provides an excuse for inaction. If you convince yourself that the system is rigged against you, that your past trauma is holding you back, or that other people are the reason you're struggling, then you don't have to take responsibility, you don't have to put in the work, take risks, or step outside of your comfort zone because you've already decided that success is out of your control. But that belief is the very thing keeping you stuck. The truth is, you have far more power than you think. The most successful people in the world didn't get there because life was easy for them. Many of them started with nothing. Many of them faced rejection, discrimination, and failure. But instead of saying, life is unfair and I can't do anything about it, they asked, what can I do right now to improve my situation? That simple shift in mindset makes all the difference. When you take full responsibility for your life, something incredible happens. You reclaim your power. No longer are you at the mercy of outside forces. Instead, you become the driver of your own success. You start looking for solutions instead of excuses. You stop waiting for someone to save you and start creating your own opportunities. You shift from being reactive to proactive, from feeling powerless to being in control. But breaking free from a victim mindset requires awareness. You have to recognize the patterns in your thinking and your speech. Do you constantly blame others for your problems? Do you tell yourself that you're stuck because of circumstances outside of your control? Do you feel like life is happening to you instead of for you? If so, it's time for a change. Start by taking an honest look at your situation. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of saying, this isn't fair, say, how can I use this experience to grow? The moment you shift from blame to responsibility, you set yourself free. You start to realize that no matter how difficult things may seem, you always have choices. You can always take action, even if it's just a small step forward. Success is not about avoiding challenges, it's about overcoming them. Life will test you. There will be times when things feel unfair, when you experience setbacks, and when you doubt yourself. But every challenge you face is an opportunity to become stronger. The people who win in life are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who refuse to be victims. You have two choices. You can continue to see yourself as a victim, blaming the world for your problems, or you can take control, own your decisions, and create the life you want. One path leads to frustration and stagnation. The other leads to empowerment and growth. The choice is yours. Your mindset determines your reality. Every single belief you hold shapes your actions, your results, and ultimately your life. The difference between a successful person and someone who struggles isn't luck or talent. It's their mindset. And at the core of mindset lies a simple but powerful truth. You either believe you can grow or you believe you are stuck. A fixed mindset is the belief that your intelligence, abilities, and potential are set in stone. People with a fixed mindset say things like, I'm just not good at that. Or, I wasn't born with that talent. They see failure as proof that they're not capable, and instead of trying to improve, they give up. Every challenge is a threat to their ego because they believe their skills and intelligence are unchangeable. On the other hand, a growth mindset is the belief that you can improve through effort, learning, and persistence. People with a growth mindset understand that failure is not a reflection of their worth, it's a stepping stone to success. They see challenges as opportunities to grow. If they struggle with something, they don't say, I'm bad at this. Instead, they say, I need to work on this. They don't avoid difficulty. They embrace it because they know that discomfort leads to progress. The problem with a fixed mindset is that it creates invisible barriers. When you believe that you're limited, you don't even try. You don't take risks. You don't push yourself. And you never realize what you're truly capable of. People with a fixed mindset fear failure so much that they avoid anything that might challenge them. They stay in their comfort zones, playing it safe, but in reality, they're playing small. A growth mindset, however, is what separates the great from the average. Look at any successful person, whether in business, sports, or personal development, and you'll see someone who refused to accept limitations. They weren't necessarily the most talented, but they were willing to learn, adapt, and improve. They saw failures as feedback, not as proof of inadequacy. They understood that every skill, every ability, and every success is built through consistent effort. The beauty of mindset is that it's not fixed. Even if you've spent your entire life thinking in a limited way, you can shift your perspective at any moment. It starts with awareness. Pay attention to the way you talk to yourself. Do you say things like, I'm not smart enough, I'm too old to change, or I'll never be good at this? If so, recognize that these are not facts, they are limiting beliefs. And limiting beliefs can be rewritten. Instead of saying, I can't do this, say, I can't do this yet. Instead of thinking, I'm not talented enough, think, I can develop this skill with practice. These small shifts in language have a massive impact over time. Every time you challenge a limiting belief, you weaken its power. Every time you choose to persist instead of quit, you prove to yourself that growth is possible. The most successful people aren't afraid to fail because they know failure is part of the process. They don't avoid challenges, they seek them out. They ask better questions. Instead of saying, why am I struggling? They ask, what can I learn from this? Instead of thinking, I'll never be as good as them, they ask, what steps can I take to improve? They take responsibility for their growth, knowing that every bit of effort compounds over time. Changing your mindset won't happen overnight, but it's the single most powerful transformation you can make. The way you think determines the way you act. The way you act determines the results you get, and the results you get determine the life you create. So ask yourself, are you going to be the person who stays stuck, making excuses for why you can't change? Or are you going to take control, develop a growth mindset, and build the life you truly want? The choice is yours. Taking responsibility is the foundation of success. It is the difference between those who achieve their goals and those who stay stuck in the same place, year after year. Winners take full ownership of their lives, while losers deflect responsibility and blame others. The moment you take complete control over your actions, choices, and results, you unlock the ability to create the life you want. Many people go through life pointing fingers at external factors, their upbringing, their boss, the economy, the government, or even bad luck. They convince themselves that they are powerless because it's easier than facing the truth. They are responsible for their situation. And as long as they refuse to take ownership, they remain stuck. They repeat the same patterns, make the same mistakes, and wonder why nothing ever changes. But the most successful people in the world operate differently. They understand that while they cannot control everything that happens to them, they can always control how they respond. They don't waste energy blaming others. They focus on what they can do to improve their circumstances. If they fail, they don't make excuses. They analyze what went wrong, adjust their strategy, and try again. They take responsibility not just for their successes, but also for their failures. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong. It means recognizing that you always have a choice in how you react, how you move forward, and what actions you take next. It's about understanding that where you are today is a result of past decisions, and where you go from here is entirely up to you. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is to stop using victim language. If you catch yourself saying things like, "This always happens to me, I never get a break," or "It's not my fault," stop and reframe it. Instead, ask, what can I do differently? How can I make this work? Or what lesson can I learn from this? These small changes in how you speak will rewire your brain to focus on solutions rather than problems. People who take responsibility are also the ones who take massive action. They don't wait for permission, perfect conditions, or a sign from the universe. They decide what they want and go after it. They understand that results don't come from complaining, blaming, or hoping. Results come from action, effort, and persistence. They are willing to do what it takes, even when it's difficult, inconvenient, or uncomfortable. Taking responsibility also means letting go of entitlement. No one owes you anything. The world doesn't guarantee success, happiness, or fairness. If you want something, you have to go and get it. If you're waiting for someone to come and save you, you'll be waiting forever. The only person who can change your life is you. The moment you accept that, you become unstoppable. The truth is, responsibility is empowering. When you take full ownership of your life, you stop feeling helpless. You realize that no matter what happens, you have the power to make things better. You stop wasting time complaining and start focusing on solutions. You stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. You stop making excuses and start making progress. Success is not a matter of luck. It's a matter of responsibility. The more ownership you take over your choices, actions, and mindset, the more control you have over your future. You can either continue blaming circumstances, or you can step up, take charge, and build the life you deserve. The choice is yours. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that holds people back from success. It's not the external obstacles, the competition, or the lack of resources that stop most people. It's fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of looking stupid, fear of stepping outside of the comfort zone. Fear convinces people to settle for less than they're capable of. It whispers doubts into their minds, telling them they aren't ready, they aren't good enough, or that they might fail if they try. And too often people listen. The truth is, fear is just an illusion. It's a story the mind creates based on past experiences, social conditioning, and imagined worst-case scenarios. But here's what successful people understand. Fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're about to grow. Every major breakthrough in life happens on the other side of fear. The difference between winners and losers is not the absence of fear, it's how they respond to it. Losers let fear control them. They avoid risks, talk themselves out of opportunities, and stay in their comfort zones where it feels safe. But that safety is an illusion. In reality, staying in the same place, avoiding challenges, and refusing to grow is the most dangerous thing you can do. It leads to regret, stagnation, and a life of missed potential. Winners, on the other hand, feel the same fear, but they act anyway. They understand that courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward despite it. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is that they'll take action when they feel ready. But the truth is, you will never feel ready. Fear doesn't just disappear. You have to push through it. Confidence is not something you wait for, it's something you build through action. Every time you step into fear, you weaken its power. Every time you take action despite your doubts, you prove to yourself that you are capable. And with each step, you become stronger, more confident, and more unstoppable. Think about the biggest successes in your life. They likely came from moments when you took a risk, stepped outside your comfort zone, or did something that scared you. Maybe it was speaking up in a meeting, starting a business, learning a new skill, or making a difficult decision. Whatever it was, you didn't feel 100% ready, but you did it anyway. That's the mindset of a winner. Fear is only as powerful as you allow it to be. If you let it control you, it will limit your life. But if you face it head on, you will realize that most of your fears are exaggerated, and the worst case scenario is rarely as bad as your mind makes it seem. And even if you do fail, so what? Failure is not the end, it's a lesson. Every successful person has failed more times than they can count. What separates them is that they use failure as fuel rather than letting it stop them. If you want to win in life, you must make a decision. Will you let fear dictate your future, or will you take control and push through it? The reality is, fear will always be there, but you don't have to be a slave to it. The moment you start taking action despite fear, you take back your power, you start realizing that fear is nothing more than a mental barrier, and once you push past it, you unlock a whole new level of potential. The greatest opportunities, experiences, and successes in life exist beyond fear. The only way to reach them is to step forward, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're uncertain, and even when you don't feel ready. Because the truth is, everything you want is on the other side of fear. The question is, will you go after it?